Hello and welcome to the video. This is to look at this newly updated version of the FrSky X9 Lite Pro. Now, a little while ago I did a review of the first version of this, the FrSky X9 Lite, not the Pro version, and in there I talked about a couple of things that I wasn't a big fan of. I talked about the fact that having Hall effect sensor gimbals might be nicer. They are more accurate and they don't wear out in the same way as the controls with potentiometers do, and also talked about the fact that the D16 protocol should have been on there from the factory because it comes with Access, which is FrSky's new protocol, which actually has lots of advantages, but an awful lot of the technology that all of us out there already have, a lot of the bind and flies that you can get as well, use D16. Now the good news is that the Pro has both of those things. So let me very quickly go through some of these updates. So if you're interested in getting into the hobby and maybe have been looking at the X9 and also seen that the Pro is out, you can kind of make a decision. Now I'll put links for both of these radios down below, and the X9 Pro is a little bit more expensive than the original version. And the only really big change here is the Hall effect gimbals. Now the interesting thing, if you look at the label on the new box, you can see that it has both Access and D16. We've got a navy blue one, and you can also see on the old one that wasn't something that was on the original box for the non-Pro. If you actually look at the box itself, the only big change is they've got Pro written on here and the layout's slightly different. So if I just break the seal, this is a video of me unpacking it, and I've been using it over the last couple of days to see what it's like. You can see that the packaging is exactly the same as the previous version. There isn't a case with this thing, and it comes in a very cheap and cheerful kind of plastic clamshell thing to protect it. It's got the gimbal protectors on here, and then you have the manual and a sticker sheet as well. Again, no SD card installed here, so there is a little bit of work to get it going properly, and I'll cover that, you don't get stuck. But if I bring in the original non-Pro version, we can put them side by side. And there isn't any difference in the appearance of the gimbals, the way the ratchets are set up. The tension is about the same as well. So looking at the two radios, you wouldn't tell that on the Pro version that these are Hall effect. I think they are. And also I've noticed that this UAV thing is all over it as well as on the box. On the bottom, the ports are exactly the same. There's no change there. So you've got your trainer port, you've got your smart port, the SD card slot. On the back, it's exactly the same. We have two 18650 cells is going to power this thing, and the proprietary FrSky port. Checking open inside the battery bay. Oh dear. Okay. I mentioned in my review of the original one that there is a problem with the battery bay, that the polarity in the battery bay is actually backwards. Real oversight from FrSky here, particularly for a new pilot that's just spent £80 on something like this to plug the batteries in, then it doesn't power up. Luckily in the testing, putting the batteries in backwards doesn't damage it, but unfortunately it does mean that that you do install the batteries backwards, so that the positive side of the 18650 cells is on the right hand side of the bay as you're looking at it. I'd recommend just having a peek down to see which end the red wire is soldered to. That's going to be the positive end. Ignore any legends that's actually embossed into the plastic. Apart from that, all the switches and controls are exactly the same. The switch gear feels the same, slightly stiffer spring-loaded switch. That might just be the one I've got here, but the changes are pretty minimal. So let me just turn this on for the first time. I've popped in a couple of 18650 cells backwards as opposed to the polarity. Oh, interesting, there's that UAV stuff again, and we are in. Pressing the menu button just takes me into the model setup, so I can't add any more models because we don't have an SD card. We also don't have any sound coming out of this thing as well, because all that is run from the SD card. So I'm going to have to set the SD card up. So you are going to have to get yourself a little SD card and copy the files over. So let me show you how you do that. It's a pretty easy job. So go on to the FrSky-rc.com/download site. I'll put a link in the description. find the Taranis X9 Lite. All of the radios are listed on here if you're looking for an update. So we're going to click on the radio that we're interested in, and then if we scroll down, you've got the SD card contents, and you just click on download and put it somewhere safe on your PC. Now, this took absolutely ages. It's only 113.2 megabytes. I am on a very fast fiber link for the broadband here, and it took about 5 minutes to download. So FrSky really need to invest in a little bit more bandwidth for their hosting. But once it's down, then if you double click on the zip file, select and copy all of the contents that are in the zip file, and then with a brand new SD card, just copy all that straight onto your SD card, and then once it's copied, take it out of the computer and plug it into your radio, and that's it. All that should be good to go. Powering it up the next time then means that because the SD card is in, you get a very different experience. You will need to have something to poke the card in. It goes in quite a long way. Press hold the power button, up it comes. You are UAV again, and this time we get the audio and we are all set. So if I press the menu button, the Lua script that is kind of a mini wizard on here is all here, so I can go through and set things up. And the setup on this is identical to all the other OpenTX radios that I looked at. So if you're interested in having a look at that stuff, then do check out the OpenTX Mix School to see all the cool stuff you can do with the radio. So now we've done that, let's check what we've got on the internal RF. So we've got the ACCST D16 and the access protocol, so it's there out the box. Now that was an update that we had to do on the original version, and in my opinion that's the way it should have shipped from the factory. So that's a massive improvement. Well done, FrSky. So on the external RF we only have the R9. Oh, hang on. We've only got the R9 options here, which is the FrSky long range system. There's no PPM, there's no CRSF. So, surprise, surprise, FrSky have done something that's more about locking pilots into using FrSky technology rather than offering something that pilots can use. So again, on this radio, the plastic does feel very cheap. It actually looks slightly better to my eye in the blue colour than it did in the black. It's still the same cheap plastic, but it doesn't look as horrible as it does in the black version. Again, the bays and all the switches are the same. Interestingly for me, the gimbals feel exactly the same as on the original radio. So the Hall effect versus the non-Hall effect. And actually Hall effect gimbals, all the real difference is how the position is sensed rather than gimbals themselves. But whereas on some of the other radios, the gimbals also feel an awful lot smoother, they feel exactly the same. It's only the way that the position is read by the radio that's changed, and that's really what you're paying for. Still no easy ratchet and tension adjustment on the controls. There's no little holes at the back that could be covered by plugs. People like Jumper have done a much better job of stuff like that. So if you want a little bit of ratchet on your throttle, you can, with the little screwdriver through a hole in the back of the radio, take the care of that. With this, you have to take the back of the entire radio to get at those controls. That's not ideal. That's not really what a new pilot wants to be doing. Really disappointed the polarity in the case is still backwards. This is really basic stuff, and I'm disappointed that on a radio from FrSky that this kind of basic stuff hasn't been picked up, particularly when it was noticed by lots of reviewers in the early days of the first edition. Great news is D16 is now there out the box, but all the options for the external stuff is limited to FrSky, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but I think that's really disappointing. And again, even though this radio is probably aimed at newer pilots, it hasn't had any work done on OpenTX to make the wizard setup any more intuitive or easier so that new pilots don't get overwhelmed by the OpenTX system. When FrSky first came along, they were the rebels, the new kids on the block. The fact they're called FrSky and they're running a system called OpenTX meant that we as pilots didn't have to spend £300 or £400 on a Spectrum or Futaba radio. We could get a radio whose hardware quality initially was probably questionable, but the OpenTX system in combination with that initial Taranis radio, mine's still behind me, and that's my daily driver, I love that radio, meant that everyone just fell over themselves for about 160, 170 pounds, you could have a radio that could do things that radios costing 2 or 3 times that much couldn't do. But the fact it was based on FrSky and open, and the fact that they were listening to customers and pilots like us about what we wanted, meant that the development of all those products and the innovation in OpenTX continued to give us what we want. But here we have a product where FrSky is continuing to do something a little bit unusual and potentially damaging to their business in the longer term. They've introduced a new style of bay, which on the smaller radios, things like the Lite, I can understand why they did that. There's no room for a full-size JR bay, but on this radio they could probably squeeze one in. Now, third parties are starting to develop modules that fit into those bays, so I can't see the point in putting that on a more full-size radio like the X9 Lite. And then we have the thing about not offering the D16 protocol out the box, which should have been there on day one. And now, even though they've added D16, they haven't added all of the other things like PPM and CRSF support for things like TBS Crossfire. And I hope FrSky change that methodology and start to give pilots what we actually want, rather than try and sell us what they want us to have. Because ultimately, that's the way to have a long-term successful business. So hopefully that's interesting. A little bit of rant at the end. If you are looking for the Hall effect version, to be honest, it's exactly the same as the previous one with a little bit of extra firmware, and the gimbals don't feel any different. It's obviously just the encoders that have changed. But with all that said, this isn't a bad radio if you don't care about module support and you only want to run the D16 or access protocols. Thanks for watching the video and watching right to the very end. You can find me in all the usual places on social media, and if you like the video and like what I'm doing here, then hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon too. If you really like what I'm doing, you can go the extra mile and become one of my Patreons for access to me directly for support, and also giveaways and regular updates too. If you're looking for particular content, then check out the playlist. I organise all of my videos into playlists, so if you're looking for a particular topic, you can find everything here. If it's called Introduction To, it's designed to start very simply and build on that simple introduction to teach you all about it. If it's called For Beginners, then that is really aimed at people who are brand new to that part of the hobby. You can also search on YouTube for anything that you're interested in using the search function at the top. So iNav Painless 360 will find all of my videos and even the playlist around iNav. So thanks again for watching, and happy flying.